Welcome to Recovery Equity, a series of conversations about promising initiatives and new possibilities to reach and help more people faced with addiction. My name is Jessica Haney, and I'm a manager of an addiction program with the Hazel and Betty Ford Foundation. And today we're talking with Sherry.
Hi.
Hi, Sherry.
Hi, Jessica.
And Sherry, you are located where?
In Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, Illinois. Thank you for joining Hazel and Betty Ford for this interview.
I'm glad to be here.
Sherry, I'd like to hear a little bit about you, but first I have kind of the big question here, and that is, are you in recovery?
Yes, I am.
And Sherry, how long have you been in recovery?
28 years and counting.
It's a long time, 28 years. I have a lot of questions about that, Sherry. Can you tell me a little bit about you before your recovery started?
A little bit about me. The lifestyle I was living led me to become addicted to um, the drugs. My lifestyle changed. It had got very unmanageable. And I decided I didn't like the person who I was, so I decided to look for some help.
Yeah, that was a follow-up question I had, Sherry. What happened that you needed recovery?
I had a conversation with my oldest daughter, and my addiction actually pushed her away from me. And it hit, I believe it hit the core of my inner self because I was trying to still be a mother and had an addiction that I couldn't control. But the fact that she took a step back from trying to uh, be a part of my life, and she realized my life was nothing that she wanted to be a part of. And having her two small, her two little sisters with me, I decided that I had to look for some help and get some change in my life with a lot of prayer.
Yeah, so your family recognized it, which left you recognizing that you needed help.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And Sherry, where did you go to get recovery?
I went to a recovery shelter called St. Martin Newport's House of Hope on 6th. You want the address too? On Woodline, on Woodlawn in Chicago. I
Chicago.
was to bring my children with my two small kids with me. Yeah.
You had your children with you the entire time.
Yes, I did. The process of my recovery at that shelter was 11 months. And that where it began for me to do something different in my life, to do some more reading, to do some soul searching, and to learn about the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, uh, Alcohol Anonymous, all um, the programs that they had available, because I was not limited to say that this is one thing. If I've tried this, and this has been in my life, I wanted to get as much help as I want because I didn't want to do the same thing.
Sherry, a question that frequently comes up for people who are wanting to get recovery, who are working towards recovery, is what are some of the barriers for others in recovery? And so that's my question for you is along the way, what have been some of your barriers?
Not really letting go of the habit, or not believing that it was something that I was ready to do. I knew once I took a step back, looked at my life, um, and through the recovery shelter, I found myself surrendering every day, every night to we call it a power greater than ourselves. And my power greater than myself was God. And I would call on him every day, every night that I didn't want to go back. No matter how the urges and the memories of what I was doing would, come up. I know I didn't want to go back there. I recited the Serenity Prayer on a day-to-day basis because I didn't want to live the life that I was living, not knowing exactly if I did, where would I end up? And then again, knowing what I probably would end up on the streets, homeless, my girls not knowing who their mama was or where I was at. And I wanted to try to be the best parent I could for them.
And Sherry, I'm curious about your children and what it was like to be a mother in a treatment setting. If you can reflect on that, what was it like having your children with you in treatment?
It motivated me to be able to see them and to try to be the best parent. In their recovery shelter, my oldest daughter would come and visit, and she would spend time with myself and her two sisters. If I wasn't in a recovery shelter, if she didn't see a change in me, I don't think she would have continued to be in my life. So um, we had a very nice bond before the addiction, and I guess she knew somewhere deep down that that mom she had was still there or was coming to light.
Yeah, and that brings me to another thought is what do your children say about your recovery today?
They tell me they're proud of me, and they even sometimes help me celebrate it, which is a nice thing. I um, I think about it, and I, I'm grateful for it. I don't. Um, I I like letting someone in recovery know that it can happen to them because I have this amount of time. You may be sitting there with 1, 2, 3 days, but as long as you don't pick up that first one, them days will accumulate. Them weeks, them months, them years will accumulate. And then the thought of using drugs or drinking or whatever is behind you. Working on the steps and having a sponsor in my life, having someone, a sponsee that I talk to on a regular basis, but living life on life terms. Everybody in the program, you know, is not going to follow 12 steps. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to do it. You have to want to do a 12-step program if it enhances your life. Have a sponsor that you can talk to on a day-to-day basis. We used to say get, if it's okay, get butt naked honestly with yourself. That's one of the things that we say in the rooms. And you have to say, I want to get honest with me, with how I'm feeling about using, not using, how I'm feeling about hardship, lost relationships, having a misunderstanding with my children, going through job loss, losing the homes, moving from place to place. You have to talk about it so you won't uh, dwell on it and figure, this is the end of my life. I'm always just go ahead and take a drink or whatever. I think drug use and drinking, it's a surface thing of what's happening on the inside. It progresses on things that you may try and didn't know something was deep down in your body that allowed you to become addicted. I don't think anybody, you have social drinkers, you have social smokers, but for me, it's not for me.
Sherry, you described a bit about how you have been able to hold on to recovery. And I'm hearing 12 step meetings. You mentioned AA and NA. You mentioned a higher power. And you mentioned something really important, I think, and that is being really honest, and most of all with yourself. And I'm wondering, would you add anything to that 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 work you do to manage recovery? If you could share that with others, how is it that you hold on to your recovery, Sherry?
I don't um, feel that picking up is worth it. Um, I remember that a uh, a statement was made that if you ever go back out there, that it's not going to be like a day one. It's going to be progress to where I stopped. I look at back at when I reached out to try to get some help, my situation, my life, where it was at. If I wish to change my mind and say everything around me is not worth what I have, and I pick up and use every little thing I got from a fork to a roll of toilet paper will be gone. And I don't see that as a progressive living life on life term life anymore. I have children, I have grandchildren that love they Gigi. And I do feel as though sometime I may have to sit if I see them going in the wrong direction, I would sit down and give them a part of my story because they need to know it. But I gave it up and I reached out to a higher power and I said, no more. No matter what, I'm not going to pick up one day at a time.
One day at a time. Yeah.
Yes.
Sherry, you're talking a lot about how to hold recovery, and I'm wondering if you could give advice to any woman in the world who also wants recovery, who is striving to achieve recovery. What kind of advice would you give them?
I would say be really honest with yourself. Know that your life could be a whole lot better than it is. And just don't pick up the first one. You don't have to worry about the second one. No matter what your choice was or is, with work, with prayer, it can happen. If you really, really want it, you have to tell yourself, this is what I want to do with my life today. I do not want to have any mood altering chemicals in my body anymore and never pick it up again, no matter what. Sitting around socially with friends that's drinking a little light glass of wine, all you have to do is get you a light glass of ginger ale. You understand what I'm saying? If this
Mm-hmm.
is a choice, if you're sitting around friends and they drinking, no, I don't drink. Nobody's going to judge you. As long as you don't judge yourself, you have nothing to worry about.
Thank you, Sherry. And on behalf of all of our listeners and viewers, I want to thank you, Sherry, for sharing your personal experiences and providing hope to everyone listening in. And to everyone out there, thank you for joining us. Please let your friends and colleagues know about these conversations and come back often to catch a new series of Recovery Equity episodes. Together we build a healthier, happier tomorrow.